All right, welcome everyone. I'm with Jake Edmark from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Jake, good to see you.
Yeah, you too, John. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And wanted to at least jump right into it. And first of all, how long have you been with Ideal Furniture? How long have you been in the business?
Yeah, time seems to be flying, but it's been about 2.5 years now, so it seems to be going pretty quickly. I guess that's how it goes with time.
Good. What are you doing right now? Are you doing the business full time, part time?
Yeah, I'm doing the business part time. I have a full time job on the side. I'm a manager at a software company, so I'm managing both right now. I'm in a 1,200 square foot retail storefront in downtown South Milwaukee. So I typically do that by appointment with a lot of online advertising and marketing.
That's great. Now, and that's not how you started. Share with us, with everybody, how you actually got started in the business.
Yeah, I got started in a storage unit, actually, a 15 by 45 storage unit. I bought a bunch of inventory, filled it up, and I was really shocked at how easy it was to sell. So at that point, I was able to find a different location in my area for retail store space. And, within 3 months, I moved over there, which I really had planned on being in the unit for a year, but things really took off right away. I was able to make money and cash flow the very first month. So after that, I was really able to move into a storefront, which, really just escalated sales from there.
No, that's great progression. And, everybody works at their own speed. That's great to see that kind of, where you start. And certainly it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Let me ask you, Art, where are your customers coming from right now?
Really 100% online marketplace advertising. So I do a lot of mobile applications such as the Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Let Go, and then just the standard Craigslist app as well. Currently, I don't spend any money on current advertising. So everything is free advertising, and I'm able to post and source for customers all online via free marketplaces. And that really works well for me, because since I do it part-time, I really kind of stick to a handful of key items that are hot sellers, and I just focus on selling those. And that way, when they're looking at my item, I know that they're interested in my particular item, which allows me just less time and overhead of trying to sell maybe out of a catalog or, a giant warehouse with a bunch of different items. So that's really what works well for me, and it has worked pretty well over the last 2.5 years.
That's great. So having a full-time job and doing the business part-time, how much time, Jake, would you say that you put into the business on a week-to-week basis? You there? Did I lose you?
Yeah, I was probably, you're breaking up a little bit. Are you able to hear me now?
Yep, sound good.
Okay. Yeah, I do about 10 to 15 hours on the business, I would say, really at the most every week. As I started off, I was doing my own delivery, so I was spending more time on it. But as I've been able to solidify the advertising and delivery process, I've been able to utilize external folks to post ads for me for commission, as well as make the deliveries and make the appointments as well. So right now I'm more of doing a lot of the advertising myself, and then kind of coordinating the delivery times and making the orders and coordinating the pickups and things like that. So I'm spending less and less time, but I'm making the same amount of money, which is nice. And then really the next thing about spending the time is that, the more time you do spend on it, the more money that you make. That's really the nice thing about this business in particular, is that there's not a lot of activities that go on that aren't profitable. Because if you're posting ads, that doesn't really take any time at all. But then if you're making deliveries, you're making money. If you're doing appointments, you're closing deals, you're making money. If you're making pickups or scheduling somebody to unload a truck off of a new order, that means you ran out of your last order and you're ready to go. So if you post a bunch of ads, you're going to get business out of that. So the more time that you spend, the more money that you make. So it's always nice just to be able to have that flexibility, and also the fact that you're not going to have to spend a whole lot of time without having any fruits of your labor.
No, you really embrace, Jake, the whole system and understanding that activities do equal results, and doing the right activities. And you really, I think, understand, what we've been preaching all along, and that's leverage, leveraging the efforts of others. And, hindsight's 2020. I always like to ask the question, if you had a chance to do it over again, what would you do differently?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I look back at it, and I would say with the business in particular, it has really worked much as how I thought it would, which I would say is rare. You know, usually everything doesn't go really exactly or better according to plan as this did. So I would really say it's probably just with my own finances. I wish I would have invested probably more money back into the business as far as maybe spending a little too much on vacations and things like that, but can't regret those too much, you know?
Absolutely. Now, in the process, too, I believe it was your first year, you got married like halfway through, didn't you? And
Yeah, we got married last year, spent time in Hawaii. So, the business really helped me fund those activities. So, I look back and say maybe I wish I would have done it differently, but, I probably don't have many things that I would do differently, to be honest.
No, that's great. And any advice to a new owner coming on board?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is just understand the logistics piece. Furniture, getting things from point A to point B is really one of the most important things to be able to worry about and handle seamlessly, as well as really trusting the system and being consistent with your advertising. Furniture is interesting that way because you never know when the rush is going to come, but it always does every month. Sometimes it's the first weekend, sometimes it's the last weekend, sometimes it'll be sprinkled in between, sometimes it'll be weekdays, but as long as you're posting consistently, you don't want to miss out when that rush happens, because I don't know what it is about consumers. I don't know if it's this industry, but they all seem to be buying at one time. So if you don't post one weekend, then you could miss out on that large rush for the month. And then, you take a big hit. So being consistent and making sure that when you get hot, then you really start to post and really start to get on the marketing, because you can have some really big weeks.
That's well stated. That's great advice for new owners coming on board. We appreciate you, Jake, and everything that you bring to the table. I know you've helped out many owners along the way. Appreciate you being unselfish, and continued success.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me, John. Have a good rest of the night.
Thanks, Jake.
Bye.